Hey gang, welcome to an all-new episode of Devall's Collection Expansion Extravaganza right here on ToyWorldOrder.com. For those of you wondering why is Jason constantly stooping in these episodes, quite frankly, it's because the ceiling is right here, and there's a light right here. So if I raise the shot up and stand up straight, my head hits light, but right now it's out of frame. This is the only way I can light this properly to make us look appealing to all of you.
I think we need more than good lighting to make us look appealing, but...
She may have a point, people. So there's your answer why I stoop currently. I don't have a crick back or anything, and I don't need a cane. It's just
not yet.
Just in order for me to stay in.
You did just have a birthday though, so
I did. I'm old.
You're getting up there.
We've got some cool stuff for you this time around. We're going to start off with some stuffed animals and a big group of stuffed animals. We're going to show them off all to you at once. American Greetings cards created a very interesting line of toys that Hasbro Preschool and Hardee's actually released as both stuffed animals and restaurant animals, and they were the shirt tails. Some of these look very familiar. Bogey is very familiar. He's cute. He is an actual shirt tail from the show.
I think he's my favorite.
Digger is as well. Digger was on the show. Tons of fun. See, the shirt tails were different because they all had different sayings on their shirts, whereas these guys actually have their names, Bogey and Digger. The other ones from Hasbro actually just had sayings like tons of fun, he's a fun lover, and world's greatest, and on the back of his shirt is #1. So they made a couple different sizes. These were actually done by Knickerbocker, these big ones. These were actually Knickerbocker shirt tail animals, and these were also licensed by American Greetings, so these were actually shirt tails. And of course you have the smaller ones, which were Hasbro Softies. Hasbro Preschool did these little guys, and then these actually came from Hardee's restaurants. You could actually purchase these from Hardee's. They were, I think they were like maybe $2.99 with the purchase of a meal, and there were 4 of them, and I think we have 3 of them now. We have Tig, Digger, and Bogey, and I think we're missing 2 more. I think there might be 2 more. I think there were 5 altogether. These were fun. These were a nice nostalgic throwback from the 80s, and while we don't need more stuffed animals in this house, God knows, because there's nowhere to put them, shirt tails, some of these I hadn't seen. I've never seen ones from Knickerbocker. I didn't know Knickerbocker did these until I found these, and I knew Hasbro did them, but I didn't know they did other animals of the shirt tails animals, so that was kind of neat to find. These were fun. I think we paid, what, $0.25 a piece? Probably. For all of these. From the estate sale we went to, they were all in boxes for $0.25, and of course Carrie and I were like, boom, 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 in our bags. So, shirt tails, very cool. With that out of the way, let's move on to some action figures. See, we're getting through a lot of this stuff quick, people. See? Not quick, not too quick, because we want you to look and imagine, and you don't want to know what's going on down here. There's crazy stuff happening. Carrie's trying to make room.
My shoe broke.
Yes, it did, actually.
Okay, I got it.
Let's, found some stuff at my buddy Fred's house. One of them.
Oh, this thing is
very
hilarious.
cool, very fun. From Kinner, from the Beetlejuice line, was a kid-size Beetlejuice snake mask.
Are you gonna put it on?
I am gonna put it on.
Oh God.
This thing was already open, but it's kind of cool. It's fun. The box is in. It's kind of beat up, but you know what? That's okay, because it was open. The plastic was open, and the actual head itself. Put that behind you. This thing, as you can see, is a pretty semi-accurate representation of Beetlejuice. Has this weird, funky monster plunger thing that when you press said plunger, the snakes on the top of his head pop up. It's all done by air and bladders, of course. The real creepy thing is, I can take that off there, show you my crazy hair. Crazier hair. If I adjust this just properly,
it's the teeth.
It's super creepy because I have 3 sets of teeth in this mask. One here.
Because this mask is actually supposed to be for a child, correct?
Yes, it is. Well, technically I'm a child.
I'm like, don't look at me. Don't talk to me. Nothing on.
What's wrong? Give me a kiss?
No, absolutely not.
I love you so much.
Show them.
Give the snakes a kiss.
Show them. It's creepy.
Snaky. It's a fun mask. Very cool little thing.
I like it. It's funny.
Very cool little thing from Kenner. I love the snakes on the top of the head as they spring up.
Yeah.
I love the triple teeth going on here. The dog's getting very angry at me because he's like, oh my God, what is that? This was it's very hot.
I bet.
Very fun little kid-sized mask that, now my head itches though. I hope this thing doesn't have crazy lice or something. I love this little mask. I think it's a lot of fun. And I was very happy to stumble across this in a box at Fred's house. And I was like, oh my God, I'm buying that. I think I paid $2 for him in the box and everything. And of course, like I said, the box is a little beat up, but nothing wrong with that. I'll still put him on a shelf like this. He's still a great conversation piece, and I'll pull him out and scare people. Preferably little children at Halloween when I'm like, So,
little kids wouldn't know what he was.
I know, right? Beetlejuice snake mask. Very cool. Let's move on. Here you go. Put that creepy thing back there. I gotta scratch my head, people. Hold on. That mask makes my head itch. I'm sure I have tiny bugs now. Here, let me give you some of those tiny bugs.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
The other action figure thing I found,
a bunch of them,
is none other than all but 2 of the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves line from Kenner on card. So I found me a Sheriff Nottingham with sword. I found the Dark Warrior with pike scythe. It was kind of neat. I found Crossbow Robin Hood with a crossbow. He's kind of cool. I found Friar Tuck. Very neat. I'll take Friar Tuck. Longbow Robin Hood, who's very cool. And of course, Will Scarlet, who's very neat. These figures were actually kind of interesting because they used not only for, let's see, Friar Tuck, Kenner just reused molds on this. And of course, they were notorious back then for reusing molds. Friar Tuck is actually a Gamorrean guard figure from Kenner's Return of the Jedi line with a new head. But it's literally the same figure underneath, body and everything. And then, of course, you've got some of these figures. Crossbow Robin Hood, actually the Robin Hoods themselves reused the Green Arrow body from Superpowers without the mechanism in him. So of course you can tell he had the, just with a new head, but that is the Green Arrow body for Superpowers from that line.
Wow, way to be creative.
I know, right? That's how they save money.
I guess.
And then the Dark Warrior, if you were to see him naked, without the clothes on, is actually the Hawkman body from Superpowers because he has the Hawkman strap still across his chest. Because they literally didn't change any of the sculpting on the bodies, they just added new heads and painted them. So these actually were all very, very unique, reused sculpts. I want to say even the Sheriff of Nottingham, if I'm right, is actually the Lex Luthor body. And I could be completely wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's whose body that is Lex Luthor. Because it looks very much kind of like Lex Luthor. This line was also brilliant in the fact that every character had fabric costumes, which was kind of not something that they did a whole lot when this movie came out, which was 91 actually. So of course, like the Dark Warrior, he's pretty much all costume and headgear. And if you took it off, they're very plain looking. But this line is pretty unique for the fact that they did in fact use nothing but cloth costumes on a lot of these figures, and they're very worth picking up. They're actually very affordable. I found most of these at my buddy Fred's house. He's still got a bunch more, so unfortunately my Longbow Robin Hood box has gotten creased and crumpled, and he is slowly coming off said card. But luckily I know where I can go to get a replacement on card, because I would like to have all of these on card, because the cards are actually really nice cards. Very plain, but very cool with the pictures of all the actors that played them on there. Of course, Christian Slater.
Yes.
Yeah, Christian Slater. Christian Slater. Kevin Costner. So, cool line. I was going to sing the Bryan Adams song and then I changed my mind. That's what the silence was there for, the awkward silence. But these came from a flea market and from my friend Fred's house. I'm missing Azim, And I'm missing Little John on card.
And you don't have any of these play sets.
I do not. And unfortunately, the play sets actually all pretty much reused Star Wars, I think except for the net launcher, but the Battle Wagon was an Ewoks release. The Bola Bomber was an Ewoks release, and the Sherwood Forest playset is actually the Forest of Endor from Return of the Jedi playset. These playsets and these vehicles are actually really difficult to find and are actually really expensive because Star Wars fans want them because they are basically the Star Wars vehicles with some new detailing. And Sherwood Forest is very little new detailing other than they painted the treetops green. So they had the molds, they might as well reuse them for something, right? They already spent the money on them. I really do like these figures, and a lot of people will probably look down on these figures, but they're just they actually are a fun, actually beautiful line done by Kenner. I mean, Friar Tuck even has his little the robe sash tie is a sash, and it's tied. I mean, that's very cool. But these figures are hard to find complete in the wild loose because people lost the weapons, the clothes came off. So worth getting though, and a good movie still to this day. Kind of holds up. It's not that great, but holds up pretty well. It's worth seeing. Let's move on. I got some lunch. I got a lunchbox. I got a couple odd things here to show you. Actually, I'll put these back here while my lovely assistant here. So, everybody knows my love for Teddy Ruxpin. Well, I stumbled upon a Teddy Ruxpin lunchbox. It's got a little bit of I don't know if that's black mold on it or what it is. It's kind of scary. I don't think it'll kill me. I'm not gonna lick it. You lick it.
No.
Okay, nobody's gonna lick it. It's got a little water damage to the label, but I wouldn't worry too much.
Needs cleaned out.
Needs cleaned out a little bit. Other than this corner here, it's in really nice shape. And it had the thermos, but the top was missing. The top of the thermos. But the artwork on the thermos isn't scratched off or beat up. I'm gonna look in here actually. I'm kind of frightened too.
Give it away from me.
No, it's not that bad.
Okay.
It's a little dirty. Nothing scary in there.
Okay.
But Teddy Ruxpin lunchbox. Of course, the lunchboxes continue to grow, and I need to buy new shelves for lunchboxes because, well, quite frankly, we have a lot of lunchboxes. And I have not been told to stop buying lunchboxes because I think someone actually likes
Stop buying lunchboxes. No.
She likes them more than I like
do,
them,
and yeah, I do. I can't help it. I like them.
I do too. I think eventually...
We always find them for real cheap. I mean, they may not be in the best shape, but...
I've never won a stickler. I mean, I know there's lunchbox collectors out there who are sticklers for... they want their lunchboxes in pristine condition.
It's not going to happen.
I just want my lunchboxes in decent condition with a thermos, is all I care about.
Yeah.
So, but Teddy Ruxpin lunchbox, another addition to one of my favorite toy lines of all time, which was...
Teddy and Grubby.
She knows these names now, and she's very angry at herself that she knows these names because she should not know these names, but she does.
Teddy I should know, but Grubby I never heard of until you brought him home that day.
We had a conversation, short story. We had a conversation one day, and I remember what we were talking about, and Carrie knew what the acronyms for mint and package were. And she goes, I know what that means. It means they're mint and package. And she's like, I hate that I know what that means. I hate it so much.
No, it was mint and box.
With mint and box.
MIB.
Yeah. She was like, I know what that stands for. And I'm so mad that I know what that stands for.
Yeah.
So, fun times here at the Devall household, all hours of the day.
Learning things I didn't think I needed to know.
She's learning things that she didn't want to learn. So, I got a couple of oddities here. One of them goes into my creepy shrine, as Pixel Dan likes to call it, and I believe even my wife likes to call it, and Dave Draper likes to call it.
Creepy, it's just unusual.
We found these at an estate sale. They are, the box is beat up, but they are Little Mermaid sewing cards.
Never seen them before.
No, never seen them. And the sewing cards are kind of neat. The back of it shows the 6 different designs in here. And I believe all 6 are here, so she's got a little tear on her card, but you've got Ariel. And you can see you just basically took the yarn and put it through there. It wasn't anything spectacular. You got Ariel, you had Sebastian, you had Ursula, you had King Triton, Flounder, and Prince Eric. So these were, I've never seen these. Rose Art made these. These probably came out around the time the movie came out, 91. So shortly after the movie came out, they were still doing merchandising for the movie because by then it had probably come out on video. Since it came out in 89, 91 was probably around the time the video release was. No yarn. Maybe
hold on.
Is there a yarn thing in there? No, there is.
There's one piece.
Ugh.
Yeah, so there's supposed to be 6 yarn laces. We only have 1, but that's okay. Yeah.
I don't think I can thread these.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe. Yeah, see, you just put the yarn through the hole, and you would pull it up, and then you would just keep going from hole to hole. You go bloop, 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 and it just outliner basically. Only bought these because we were at the estate sale, and I think it was a quarter.
So yeah.
Plus, it had Little Mermaid on, and it was something Little Mermaid I didn't have. I don't know if I'll display the box or if I'll display all of these.
Yeah, 'cause the box is kind of...
The box is beat up. The cards are in pretty decent shape, except for Ariel's got that tear right there. But I'll probably display the cards somewhere. I would say that I'd get frames and put them in frames,
Some of
but we
these
know that'll
haven't
never
even
happen.
been...
Some of them have, and some of them
Some of
haven't.
the pieces haven't even been punched through.
Yeah.
So.
Somebody decided they didn't want to do Triton and Ursula very much. Very odd though item. Something to add to the creepy Little Mermaid shrine that is in my office that I look at every day when I work. And I dream of at night when I sleep. They got weird. Got weird? Got weird.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Anyone that was grown in the 80s, back there in them fields we grow them humans at. Anyone that grew up in the 80s remembers a thing called Presto Magic. And Presto Magic was very interesting. Now, okay, before I show you these, I'd explain to Carrie what these were and how they worked. Basically, Presto Magic is almost like a temporary tattoo that goes on a playmat. But in order to get said temporary tattoo onto playmat, you took a pencil, or they sold actually little orange pencils with no lead in them that were just plastic pencils with the sets, and you would rub them. They were like little rub things. You rub, and you would, when you peeled the paper away after you rubbed everything on there, it would leave the piece on there. When I tried to explain this to Carrie, and she was like, well, won't you get pencil lines around what you...
I was having a moment, and I could not figure out I couldn't wrap my head around what you were trying to tell me.
It was the most infuriating conversation I've ever been a part of, yes.
It was like a light bulb went off, and I was
she was like, oh,
I understand. So,
these are actually Presto Magic sets.
and we have one here extra that we bought so we could open it.
Yep, so we could open it. These are actually... Yep, it is. These are actually Presto Magic sets of Smurfs, and there's looks like there were 6 of them all together, but we found 4, 5, and 6. So 6 here is Smurfette.
In a different language.
In a different language. Otros Productos con License. I want to say it's Spanish, which looks pretty close to...
I don't know.
I'm not sure. But these were in a different language. But they were, I think they were like $1 a piece, and I think I talked the guy down to like 50 cents a piece. I'm like, I'm gonna buy all 4 of these and just give them to me for $2. Oh yeah, sure. But yeah, these were Presto Magic sets from a different country. Like we said, we bought an extra one so we could open it. So we can show you what's in these little sets. Basically in these little sets, you got a big playboard. So this is your playboard. They were all school. You got a little, I don't know why there was a cut-out Gargamel on the back of said playboard, because that ruins the playboard. But it also shows you exactly how they work, which we were talking about. You peel the backing off the back, you put it down, you rub it with a pencil, and then when you peel the back off, it leaves the imprint of the thing on there and takes it off. And these were the little Smurfs that were in there, the little Presto Magic Smurfs. Yeah. I may never actually Presto Magic this Presto Magic set.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But
or you could let me try and see if I can figure out how to do it.
That'd be interesting. I'd film that. Very cool little sets, though. I don't see a lot of Presto Magic stuff out in the wild, unfortunately, just because the stuff didn't really survive after you used it. You used it once and you were done with it.
Right.
There was no replay value with these. There was just scratch, scratch, scratch. I'm done. Okay. So. Weren't like color forms where you could just take the pieces off and continue on. But these are cool, and if somebody wants
we need to try to find 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So we have 4, 5,
if anyone
6.
wants to tell me what language this is in, that'd be great, because it's Pitufa tus con adventuras trans pitufos. Sounds Spanish to me, but I could be completely off. Could be Italian. I don't know. Not German. Not enough.
Phlegm.
Yeah. Not enough Frommenhaven. So, very cool little Smurf idea things. Smurf idea things? I don't know what I just said there. Smurf Presto Magic thing. Let's move on to some board games, and we'll finish this episode off like I always like to do, just right. Now, put it down. Talk about it first. So we talked about last episode. She ruined my surprise. That's what she does. She ruins the surprises. We talked about the last episode how we went to a Goodwill in St. Louis. I found a talking Big Bird. That wasn't the only thing I found. I found this awesome, now you can lift it up, 3D action board game for Masters of the Universe featuring He-Man, which is 2 to 6 players, ages 5 and 6, or ages 5 to 10, I should say, done by Golden. There were a couple different Masters of the Universe games. This one came out in '83, around the time that the line had launched in retail nationwide. This was in Goodwill. It had a tag on the bottom of it that we found later that says $20. But when we took it up to the register,
that's not what we paid.
I assumed that it was going to be $1 like all the other board games. Even the cash register lady was like, I was like, oh my God, that's $20? She's like, well, that didn't seem right. That seems like it's a misprint. She's like, I was like, well, I thought maybe it'd be like $1 like the rest of them. She goes, how about a quarter? I paid a quarter for this, which I thought was pretty cool. But the game's kind of neat. It's got some great artwork. Of course, the spinner. This game was very kind of simple. So you've got the spinner, you've got your playboard, which is here. You've got your pieces. So you had Beastman, you had He-Man, you had Teela, you had Merman, you had Skeletor, whose base has fallen off of him, and you had Man-at-Arms. So you had 6 different players here. And the board was actually just this funky piece of plastic here that the cardboard piece goes on, just like that, so the cardboard piece doesn't move. And then basically, this was your playing field here. And every once in a while, if I remember the directions right, you would have to actually spin the board like this. So with a character on the board, let's say you were just about there and you had to spin it, you would be back there. So you would be almost to the finish, now you were almost close to the start. And that's kind of what made this game very interesting, is it changed the game every time somebody had to spin the board, you changed the gameplay. And somebody who was way up here could then be literally be down at the finish line, which you wouldn't win that way. I think you have to go back a space and then come back in. But yeah, there was a very interesting gameplay mechanism to this, and very simple. Very cute, simple little game from Golden, which they did a lot of family games like this. Heck, you can tell how new it is because not only is there an extra stand, but the cardboard piece from the board that they punched out is still in the box, which is pretty interesting. So, oh, I was like, I know there's mermaids in my hand still. For a quarter, yeah, you cannot beat.
And the artwork on the box
that kind of a deal. Yeah, and the artwork on the box is beautiful, just gorgeous artwork. But again, Goodwill was trying to sell it for $20, which probably is about right.
Yeah, after we got home, we were like, that probably should have been $20.
And technically, I did not rip off Goodwill. Goodwill ripped themselves off because the cashier was the one who was like, how about a quarter? And I wasn't going to argue. Neither would any of you. You would have been like, yes, quarter sounds awesome. Take it. So, very cool find for a quarter. So, one more board game to show you before we wrap this episode up. So let's take a look. Okay, so this last board game before we wrap the show up is actually based on a property that gave me nightmares when I was a small 4-year-old child. I had a stuffed animal of this, and after I saw this movie, the animal had to be then hid in the closet and never seen again because every time I looked at it, I would start crying.
Why were you scared?
He scared the pee out of me. He's kind of creepy looking, but in Salisbury, Illinois, I found this awesome version of E.T. the Extraterrestrial board game done by Parker Brothers. When the movie came out. And this game was kind of neat because you had a lot of different things. You had a plastic E.T. with a little ghost costume. Of course, you had a puzzle you had to complete. You had all these little dots you had to collect. You had cards. You had a cardboard spaceship. There's a lot to this game from Parker Brothers. And the board, if you can see, and I'll take it out and we'll get a better look at it, was kind of complicated looking. There was a lot going on in that board. This game is unique to me, though, and I'll show you the board here and show you what I mean by complicated.
Oh my.
Yeah, a lot going on there. Quite a bit.
Not your run-of-the-mill.
No.
Roll the dice, move your pawn, you're done.
Not
kind
at all.
Of thing. Yeah.
Not at all.
It's neat. Well, we haven't played this one yet.
And the reason we have not played this yet is because this game
hasn't even been played.
Well, the actual pieces for the starship have not even been punched out of their cardboard. I mean, they're falling out at this point because they're so old, but they had the spaceship has never been put together, which is kind of cool. But you've got your little E.T. figure and your ghost costume and your dice. Of course, those are just hard plastic there. And then you've got all the cards and the puzzle pieces and the little dots, which I'm not entirely sure what they're used for yet because I have not read the instructions. And of course, assembly instructions to put the cardboard ship together. This game's kind of neat. I was very impressed to find it. I got it for a really good price that I can't complain about. And I bought it literally because the spaceship was not put together and was all there. Usually when you find this, the spaceship is gone because of cardboard, and it's flimsy cardboard. And the ET figure is always missing. So,
Well, which you kind of need. It's called E.T.
kind of need that to play the game. But this was a fun little find that eventually will make its way onto the board show, and we'll be able to see it in greater detail, and you'll be able to see it played. But can't complain for that. I think I paid.
Graphics remind me of the ride.
Yeah, the graphics do remind you of the ride that is at Universal Studios in Orlando. This is the only place you can ride this ride now. So, very cool find, and yes, I mean, look at it. Yes, people can say E.T. is cute. As a 4-year-old child in the 80s.
Don't feel bad, because I can't watch the movie because it makes me cry.
Carrie cries every time E.T. dies, even though it doesn't really die.
So
He still lives, so.
don't feel bad.
No, I know. I'm still scared peeless of him, though.
I need to find a stuffed E.T. doll, apparently, and...
I will hyperventilate in front of you every time. There you go, guys. That brings us to the end of another episode of Collection Expansion Extravaganza right here on ToyWorldOrder.com. Make sure, if you're watching this somewhere other than ToyWorldOrder.com, if I could learn to speak, ladies and gentlemen, it would be a miracle to get through one of these episodes without stumbling over my words. That would be awesome. See, other people would just cut that and start over. Not this guy. No. It's more entertaining to see me screw up than to see me perfect. She knows. Look at her. She knows what she's talking about. If you're watching this somewhere other than ToyWorldOrder.com or the YouTube page, you can go to youtube.com/ToyWorldOrder and hit the subscribe button. Please do so. It helps us out greatly. Check us out on ToyWorldOrder.com. And gang, as always, keep digging because you never know what you're going to find. We'll see you next time, gang.